You're walking down the street, the wind hits your hair just right, the sunlight perfectly catches your silhouette. You're not going anywhere special, just existing. But in your head, lo-fi music swells and you're the lead character in an A24 indie film. Congratulations, you've unlocked main character energy. If you've ever waited for golden hour just to film a TikTok subscribe to GENSHIFT, this video was written for you. Let's explore the art of self-narration. What is main character energy? The self as narrative. So, what exactly is main character energy? At its core, it's an internet-born behavior where you don't just live your life, you direct it. Gen Z doesn't just exist, they direct. It's the act of viewing and presenting one's life as a cinematic narrative, transforming everyday moments into noteworthy scenes. It's the confidence to assert that your story matters, even when the plot is just you making coffee or taking a walk. This isn't just a fleeting trend, it's a cultural mindset. The term itself, which exploded on TikTok around 2020, now carries billions of views and has become a North Star for a generation redefining success away from material wealth and toward internal fulfillment. For Gen Z, this manifests in a highly visual language. It's built on aesthetic control, where daily routines are intentionally styled to fit a specific vibe like cottagecore or dark academia. It's about romanticizing the mundane, where a simple soft girl walk becomes a mindful, narratively significant activity framed as both wellness and content. And it's expressed through emotional transparency, where curated day-in-the-life vlogs share not just small wins, but also mental health struggles, fostering a sense of relatable vulnerability. This isn't mere vanity. It's a psychological coping mechanism. For a generation that grew up in the shadow of 9/11, the 2008 recession, and the COVID-19 pandemic, the world can feel chaotic and uncontrollable. Framing yourself as the protagonist is a powerful act of reclaiming agency. And psychology backs this up. A 2024 study found that people who see themselves as the major character in their life story report greater well-being and are more likely to pursue personally meaningful goals. But before Gen Z was directing their life's short films, millennials were writing their novels. Their version of self-narration was forged on platforms like LiveJournal MySpace and early pre-algorithm Facebook. Their primary tool was the keyboard, and their medium was the long-form diary-like blog post. For millennials, the performance was confession. It was the culture of oversharing, posting raw, emotional, and sometimes painfully detailed entries about their lives for a network of online friends. Think of moody Tumblr posts filled with song lyrics or angsty LiveJournal entries that now read like a time capsule of early 2000s emo culture. It was an earnest, if sometimes awkward, attempt to find connection through radical transparency. Both generations, separated by technology, were driven by the same fundamental human need to construct a coherent story of the self and to feel seen. The difference lies in whether they were writing a diary or producing a movie. The tools of the era, from blog post to TikTok POV. Every generation tells its story with the tools it's given, and the technological leap from the millennial to the Gen Z era is like going from a writer's desk to a mobile film studio. The platform doesn't just host the story, it fundamentally shapes it. Gen Z's toolkit is the smartphone, a portable production house in their pocket. As true digital natives, they are fluent in a visual video-first language. Their narratives unfold on algorithmically driven platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels, where the goal is not just to share, but to captivate. They have access to powerful mobile editing apps, an endless library of trending and AI-generated sounds, and augmented reality filters that can transform reality in an instant. Storytelling for Gen Z is a process of directing, shooting, and editing. It's about finding the perfect sound to match a mood-cutting clips to a rhythmic beat and understanding how to package a moment for maximum engagement. Even platforms designed to enforce spontaneity like BeReal are often bent to the will of the narrative, with users strategically waiting for a more interesting or aesthetic moment to post their supposedly candid shot. Millennials, by contrast, built their online identities with a more homespun, desktop-bound toolkit. Their self-narration was primarily text-centric, unfolding on platforms like LiveJournal, Zanga, and MySpace. The blog post was the dominant art form, a linear, chronological, and often deeply personal format. Visuals like low-resolution photos from a clunky digital camera or pixelated GIFs were accessories to the text, not the main event. The aesthetic was a form of digital scrapbooking. Users would spend hours customizing their MySpace pages with glittery graphics, auto-playing songs, and basic HTML to create a raw DIY expression of their personality. There was a certain charm to its clunkiness, a sense that the internet was a wild, untamed space you could carve your corner into. The evolution from that hand-coded, text-heavy world to the polished, algorithm-ready video of today isn't just a technological upgrade. It's a complete paradigm shift in how we construct and perform our reality online. Aesthetic vs. Authentic: the paradox of online truth. The pursuit of authenticity has been a holy grail of online life for decades, but its definition has twisted and turned with each new generation. The central paradox remains: how do you perform being real? Millennials pioneered a form of digital authenticity rooted in earnest, often unfiltered oversharing. This was an era of porous boundaries between private life and public broadcast, leading to behaviors now affectionately labeled millennial cringe. On early Facebook, this meant third-person status updates narrating mundane actions. Miles Surrey is going to the movies tonight, and the posting of vast unedited photo albums from a single party. On LiveJournal, it meant bearing your soul in long, angsty diary entries about heartbreak and existential dread shared with a circle of online friends. This approach was born from a genuine, if naive, belief that connection is forged through radical transparency. The authenticity was in the act of confession itself, a willingness to be vulnerable even if it now seems awkward. Gen Z, having grown up watching the permanent, searchable consequences of millennial oversharing, approaches authenticity with a more strategic and sophisticated method: curated authenticity. This is the art of meticulously crafting content to appear effortless, raw, and uncurated. The photo dump is the masterclass of this phenomenon. It presents a carousel of seemingly random, often blurry or candid photos designed to project a casual, in-the-moment vibe. In reality, these dumps are often carefully sequenced to tell a subtle story or build a specific aesthetic, with each imperfect photo chosen to contribute to an overall persona of effortless cool. Sociologist Irving Goffman's theory of dramaturgy is essential here. He argued that we are all actors managing our front-stage public personas. Millennials often collapse the distinction, delivering backstage monologues on a public stage. Gen Z, however, doesn't just bring the backstage to the front. They transform the backstage into a highly polished front-stage production where even the most authentic moments are directed for an audience. Meme language: emotional language communication in code. The language we use to articulate emotion and identity online is another key generational divide, evolving from direct emotional shorthand to a complex coded system of irony and in-jokes. Millennials often relied on external cultural artifacts as direct emotional proxies. In the era of aim-away messages and MySpace profiles, it was common practice to use song lyrics, particularly from emo bands like Death Cab for Cutie or Fall Out Boy, to articulate feelings of angst, love, or heartbreak. The lyrics spoke for you. This was emotional outsourcing. Similarly, early internet memes like Rage Comics provided a shared visual language for common frustrations. Characters like Forever Alone Guy or the What You Know Guy were simple, universally understood symbols for specific emotional states. The communication was direct, referential, and deeply earnest in its intent. Gen Z's emotional vernacular, by contrast, is defined by deeply layered irony, meta-humor, and coded self-referential language. For a generation navigating a world of constant anxiety and existential dread, humor isn't just for fun, it's a primary coping mechanism. This humor is often absurd, surreal, and requires significant in-group knowledge to decipher. The meaning is intentionally obscured from outsiders. For instance, viral trends have seen users collectively decide to replace the standard crying, laughing emoji with a chair or an aerial tramway. This act serves a dual purpose. It signals one's status as chronically online and part of the in-group, and it intentionally confuses older generations, creating a linguistic barrier. The joke isn't just the content of the meme, but the act of participating in the meme itself. It's communication as identity performance and social gatekeeping. Why it matters: the internet as mirror and stage. To fully understand this evolution, we have to look beyond the users and at the unseen directors shaping these performances, the platforms themselves, and their underlying psychological pull. The work of MIT social psychologist Sherry Turkle provides a crucial framework. In her foundational book, The Second Self, Turkle explored how computers become extensions of our psychological lives. Her later work, Alone Together, diagnosed a central paradox of the digital age. Our devices, which promise constant connection, can simultaneously foster a profound sense of isolation. Turkle argues that we are drawn to the illusion of companionship without the demands of friendship. Main character energy can be seen as a direct response to this state of being alone together. If you feel a pervasive sense of loneliness despite being hyper-connected, constructing a rich, protagonist-driven narrative is a powerful form of self-soothing. The performance of a full and cinematic life can become a substitute for the feeling of one with likes and comments, providing a stream of validation that mimics genuine social affirmation. The most significant driver of this shift, however, is the architecture of the feed. Millennials posted for a social graph, an audience of friends and followers they curated. Gen Z posts for an interest graph, a non-human audience known as the algorithm. On platforms like TikTok, the For You page is governed by a system that analyzes user behavior to predict what content will maximize engagement. This creates what researchers call algorithmic implotment, where the platform's code actively co-authors a user's life story by rewarding certain types of content. The main character is the ideal algorithmic subject. Their narrative is coherent, their aesthetic is clear, and their emotional beats are easily categorized. A user performing the sad girl aesthetic is highly legible to the system, which can then efficiently serve their content to a massive audience interested in that same vibe. In this feedback loop, users internalize the logic of the algorithm and begin performing their identities for the system, co-producing their sense of self with the machine. Conclusion. The journey of online self-narration from the text-based confessionals of the early 2000s to the cinematic performances of today tells a story of technological determinism, generational adaptation, and an enduring human impulse. The tools have changed, the aesthetics have evolved, and the language has been coded and remixed, but the core motivation remains remarkably consistent. Whether you posted emo lyrics on LiveJournal or you film yourself staring out a rain-streaked window, you were driven by the same need to construct a coherent life story and to feel seen, understood, and validated by a community. The internet for both generations has served as the ultimate mirror and the most accessible stage for this timeless human project. Now, as we look to the future, another evolution is on the horizon, this time driven by artificial intelligence. Technologies that can generate video from simple text prompts are becoming increasingly sophisticated. We are entering an era where the performance of the self may become even more elaborate, but also more automated. This raises profound questions about authenticity and identity. When our life stories are generated by code designed to maximize engagement, what happens to the messy, contradictory, and unmarketable parts of our true selves? The negotiation between who we are and who we perform will only grow more complex, ensuring that the story of the self remains the most compelling narrative of the digital age. If this episode made you feel like the main character or the chaotic sidekick, like, comment, and subscribe. We've got more episodes coming soon. Until then, roll credits. Your story continues.